best, better for me. I know that that'll make me a better individual. I'm going to slip and I'm going to fall, but I should try my level best. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the chapter of Taha, verse number 123, after أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وَأْمُرْ أَهْلَكَ بِالصَّلَاةِ وَاصْطَبِرْ عَلَيْهَا لَا نَسْأَلُكَ رِزْقًا نَحْنُ نَرْزُقُكَ وَالْعَاقِبَةُ لِلتَّقْوَى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وَأْمُرْ أَهْلَكَ بِالصَّلَاةِ, and order your family, the people around you, not your family from lineage, but also the Quraysh, the people around you, بِالصَّلَاةِ وَاصْطَبِرْ. وَاصْطَبِرْ. We know that sabr is patience. But Allah increases the words or the letters in this morphologic form to show more eloquence, to show that you should be patient over a long period of time. Fathers, mothers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says in the Quran, in the chapter of Munafiqun and also Taghabun, with slight differences in the verse, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu, la tulhikum amwalukum wa la awladukum an dhikrillah. Al-ayah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, O you who believe, do not allow your money and your children divert you from the remembrance of Allah. How can someone's child, Allah has blessed me with this child. My wife has had a miscarriage twice and then He blessed me with this child. How is this child going to divert me from the remembrance of Allah? When that child turns 16 and she or he has it all figured out. You know they have it all figured out. They're 16, 17, 18. They understand the world and what goes on, right? They have their Facebook schedule. They have their Twitter schedule. They have their Starbucks schedule. And this schedule sometimes, they got it all figured out. You, Dad, you have no idea. You don't know you have no idea. So sometimes I have to tell you that you don't have any idea, right? That's how it usually goes. But that's the haqq, right? Of course not. So when we see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ordering you and telling you that firstly tells you to be patient with the salah, with yourself, those days that you're down, those days that you're late from work and the asr is about to end and maghrib comes in and you're tired coming from work. Those days where you're depressed of what's going on with the Muslims and shaitan will play with you and say, why do I have to pray? I don't see anything happening. Go back to that first pillar, consistency. How does this apply to the family? Because your children and your money can be a fitna for you when your children don't want to pray, they don't want to wake up. You say, I don't want to wake them up because it's going to disturb them from their test that they have in the morning. Understanding the priorities and consistency with that, brothers and sisters, it's not easy. That is where the ajr and the reward come in. That is where the ajr and the reward will come in. When you're consistent for the sake of Allah. Back to that first pillar. Also, brothers and sisters, this consistency in the household. We really have to understand what's the difference between a house with Muslims and a Muslim household. A house with Muslims and a Muslim household. The reason I mention this verse in the salah because iqamat as-salah is the first thing that should be established in the home. You need to ask yourself as responsible parties, being the father and the mother, and sometimes the bigger brother and bigger sister when mom and dad aren't there. Are you establishing the prayer in the home? When the time for the prayer comes in, you may not have the adhan clock that goes off. You may not have the phone that rings, but you know the time for the salah. How did Aisha explain the Prophet ﷺ when the prayer came in? It was like as though he didn't know us. Think about this. She said it was like he didn't know us. When the prayer will come in, it's time to get up. He would be maybe in a conversation. Think about it. You're in a conversation, you're watching the game, whatever. When the time of prayer comes in, you get up and you handle your business because you know what's most important. And that is the aqil. The aqil comes from aql. And the aql, as they say, iqal, what holds the gutra that some of us know, is that which prohibits you from something. The one that has intellect does not allow the secondary things to overpower the primary things because he or she is aql. So when we understand being consistent in that which is most important in this life, this is how we maintain that Islamic structure, and our house will be a Muslim household rather than a house with Muslims. And lastly, I just want to give the advice also. When we talk about consistency and that which is important, communication. Communication, communication, communication. Communication is lovely. in the first year of marriage, second year of marriage, mashallah, you visit the family, mashallah. But then the baby comes. First trimester, the husband is not used to this. He's used to watching the game, man. He's used to going to the friends and watching the game. Or he's used to playing cricket. He's used to doing something, but he realizes he has to stay home. The new baby is born. Grandma's not around. He realizes he has to watch the baby. The baby throws up on his shoulder every time. Now he realizes he has to be consistent. He has to become from a man, from a boy to a man. The woman has to realize that sometimes when the husband comes home, he doesn't want to talk at the very beginning when he gets home. You probably haven't seen him all day. Don't bombard him with a whole bunch of questions. From a girl to a woman. How is this established? We don't say it's primarily, and don't misunderstand me, we don't say it's primarily established in Islamic schools. It's primarily established in the home. Have objectives, not rules that are boring or rules that are hard. Principles that have objectives. So what can we do as an Islamic family? For starters, if we don't pray together as a family, brothers and sisters, one of the strongest things you can do is pray as a family in your home. Salat al-Maghrib, Salat al-Isha, when you're definitely at home on a Sunday night. Sometimes you may say, you know what, I don't want to go to the masjid, or we all go to the masjid, or I want to stay home to pray with my family. After you pray with your family, get one of the small books, Hisn Muslim, The Fortress of the Muslim, the 20 du'as, books for children. 365 du'as. We see these books here, mashallah. And let the father, then the mother, then one of the children read a hadith. 5-10 minutes. Go over these morals and values that have been preserved from the Quran and the Sunnah of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that will affect others than them. That will affect others than them. So being consistent in communication in times of raha, in times of ease with the wife, and consultation. And that's what I want to end with, is consultation. The Prophet ﷺ consulted Khadija. When he received revelation, he ran to her. In some narrations, he ran to her and said, Zammiluni, Zammiluni, to her and others, Waraqa. So when he was scared, who was his best friend at that time? His wife. When the Muslims were prohibited from making Umrah, and they were upset, the Prophet ﷺ ordered them to do what? To shave their heads. They were upset. They didn't listen to him. This is the Messenger of Allah. They didn't listen to him. So he went in and he told Salama, his wife. And Salama told him, shave your head. He went on and he shaved his head, and in the narration, it's like they were about to fight, almost kill each other to follow the Messenger of Allah. He went to his wife. And we see from the narrations of hadith, Abu Hurairah, Aisha radiallahu anha, Abdullah ibn Umar, these were young boys and girl, that they related the most hadith from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they were young. So consult your children in things. Ask them, what do you think of this? What do you think? Ask your wife, and vice versa. And that will increase the integrity of your child and of your wife when times are hard, when they're at work or they're at school. And that, inshallah, will build a strong Muslim structure, or be some of the advice that can help build a strong family structure in the year 2016 and the years to come. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to place barakah in our homes, and in our masajid, and in us and around us. Innahu waliyyu dhalik. Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam.